It seemingly took forever, but BlackBerry has finally come through with many of its fans' wish fulfillment fantasy, creating an Android phone with a physical keyboard. Welcome to the Priv, BlackBerry's first official Android phone. That means it runs all of Google's services, sure, but more importantly, it means access to the Play Store and all of its apps. That's right, BlackBerry fans, no more sideloading old versions of Instagram and hoping they work. It's almost too good to be true. We start with the display, a 5.4-inch Quad HD AMOLED panel, which means great colors, perfect blacks, and not so great brightness, unfortunately. BlackBerry has also outfitted the Priv with curved glass on either side, which is both beautiful and kind of useless, but it's a nice touch. On the back, an 18-megapixel Sony sensor shows that BlackBerry also has imaging chops, and as you'll see later, the results are really impressive. Inside, we have a hexa-core Snapdragon 808 chip, 3 gigs of RAM, 32 gigs of expandable storage, and performance is quite good, what you'd expect from a high-end Android device, though the software is still quite buggy in places. The Priv runs Android 5.1.1 Lollipop out of the box with few visual changes from what you'd see compared to, say, a Nexus or Motorola. Here and there, BlackBerry has peppered the UI with changes, and the launcher has a few neat tricks, but overall, if you've ever used an Android phone, you'll be more than comfortable here. But the pièce de résistance is the physical keyboard, which lives under the display. The keyboard isn't quite as good as what we've seen from other BlackBerry phones, but who cares? Now the whole narrative resets because this phone is running Android, and no other manufacturers are making phones with physical keyboards anymore. The keyboard doubles as a trackpad too, which is super useful when navigating web pages or cycling through long lists. The feature debuted on the Passport last year, but it's much more helpful here. You can even press T to head to the top of an app like Twitter, or B to head to the bottom. Because of Android's open nature, the trackpad doesn't always work perfectly in every app, but it's still a great addition to the phone overall. But the question is, how does the keyboard type, and is a physical keyboard even necessary in a world of SwiftKey and swipe? To be honest, the keyboard isn't perfect. The keys are shallow and not as tall as on other BlackBerry phones, so it's difficult to touch type. But most people won't care, they just want to know that it's there. You could swipe up on various quadrants of the keyboard to select words for autocorrect, which is really cool, but sometimes the shortness of the keyboard makes its actions uncomfortable. Of course, there's also a virtual keyboard, which is actually really good. It's better than nearly every third-party keyboard on the Play Store, and its word selection by swiping up on a letter is still brilliant 3 years later after it debuted on BB10. Even though the Priv runs Android, BlackBerry has attempted to port over as much BlackBerry 10 functionality as it could. The hero here is the hub, which consolidates emails, texts, calls, tweets, Facebook messages, and, of course, BBMs. The thing is that the hub is still fantastic, but it's not necessary like it is on BB10, since there are so many great alternatives, including Google's own Gmail app. As mentioned, the Priv's camera app is remarkably good, and with its f2.2 lens and optical image stabilization, it can get some great shots, even in low light. The problem is mainly with the camera app itself, which can be slow to load and lacks any manual controls. That would be fine if the Priv supported third-party camera apps with manual controls, but it doesn't. The phone does shoot 4K video, which is great, but the optical image stabilization really doesn't help much with that. Daylight shots were sharp and really quite beautiful, but more impressive were the low-light shots, which I really was amazed by. Finally, the Priv's main focus, privacy and security, is showcased most broadly by DTech, an app that tells you how your phone is faring in the supposedly dangerous world of Android malware. In reality, BlackBerry's hardening of Android by improving the kernel, employing secure boot, and utilizing unique hardware keys to prevent tampering is not particularly unique, and the fact that the Priv ships with Android 5.1 Lollipop, not Android 6.0 Marshmallow, likely means that the Nexus 6P is actually more secure. Hopefully Marshmallow brings even more security features to the Priv, but as it stands today, it's mainly just a great Android phone, though an expensive one at $700 US and $900 Canadian. So the question is, should you buy it? I'd say yes. If you really want a physical keyboard or you're a loyal BlackBerry user, go for it. But there are better Android phones out there, and if you really want the best security, stick with a Nexus phone.